Hey YouTube, how's it going? This is Team Nightmare here, James Rodriguez speaking. Firstly, I want to apologize for not being able to put any videos up lately. I've been really slammed with college and getting ready to graduate this semester, but semester's winding down and I have all summer, so I'm hoping to get back into YouTubing, and I have a few ideas of what segments I want to do for the summer. So here today I have a deck profile for YCS Vegas that I went to. I got 64th place. I ended up doing that. Going X3 by the end of day 2. I only did top 32, so I didn't make the cut for that. But I'm pretty proud of myself. First time I for day 2. I did it with Harpies of all things, so still been playing them. And we'll go straight into the deck profile. So of course we still have 3 Harpie Channeler. Pretty core to all your Exceed combos. 3 Harpie Queen. Searches your field spell, and is a pretty nice beat stick, especially against Fire Fist. I opted for 3 Harpie Dancer. Great way to bait out the back row and save your Channeler in case they have something in response to the summon of Dancer. And also, one of my spells I'll show a little bit later becomes a little bit more important for that play. And then 1 Lady 1 and 1 Cyber Harpie Lady. Now people are probably going to be really confused with this. And my logic behind this is that I don't want to draw a lot of monsters that need to be normal summoned. Reason being is because they can become very dead, especially early on in the game. If you draw too many monsters, you can pretty much get bricked hands, and there's not much you can do with them. And so I opted just for 1 each. 1 Lady 1, just to enable OTKs with party, that extra, 900 or 1200 on board. It's usually just enough to finish it or put them in a cowboy range. And then 1 Cyber Harpie Lady because sometimes you need to bring this out with Elegant Egotist, and 1600 is just not enough to kill him, so. 1 Pet Dragon, of course, just for the rank 7 plays, going for String Draco Sack is pretty strong. And lastly, 1 Zephyros, recycle some of your cards, and especially late game you can really get out of some hairy situations going into rank 4 Exceeds. On to the spells, we have 3 Hysteric Signs still. One of the more better cards in the deck, Searcher combos. I'm running Magical Hats again, so getting your combo off really early in the game can really set the game into your advantage. And of course, 1 Elegant Egotist. I never really ran into an issue of running out of Elegant Egotist targets. Generally speaking, I never pull them out of the deck, except with Elegant Egotist for Lady 1 and Cyber Harpie Lady. So, and I didn't draw them all weekend actually. I think maybe one game I drew Cyber Harpie Lady, but maybe just lucky. But 2 Harpies Hunting Ground. People will probably be confused with this too. I wanted to try to minimize some of the dead draws I could get with the deck, so I wanted to make more room for traps to be a little bit more control based, since Harpies are usually pretty aggressive. I wanted more traps so I can control the pace of the game, and then OTK when I have secure party play. I do side the 3rd one though, so against matches where they're either running a field spell or they're siding in their MSTs against me, I want to have the 3rd one so I can search in the game or to get rid of their field spell. For consistency, I have 2 Potted Dualities. Sometimes I side these out game 2 and 3, just depending on the matchup, how important it is to see my side cards or not. 1 Book of Moon. A few players are running Trapstun this weekend, and it's just one way to make sure they don't OTK you when they do Trapstun you. So, and 3 Forbidden Lands. I went to ARG Vegas, and I was main decking 3 Trapstun. I found that oftentimes for me they were dead, and I also had to wait a turn before it can even go off. So I decided to run 3 lands instead, so that if I go first or second, I still have a lot of secure plays when I want to go Dancer and into Channeler. And so a lot of times if I summon Dancer, they'll try to torrential me or whatever, and I could lance my Dancer, bounce it, summon Channeler, pop their other back row, and just completely wreck their back row. Usually most of the times every player I played only had 1 answer to a summon, and so as long as I stopped that 1 answer, I could destroy the rest of their back row. Additionally, against decks like Fire Fist, Lance is pretty good against them. Generally they'll try to Lance over my monster just to get over my Harpie, since they're usually bigger than theirs in the first place. If I have Lance 2, basically becomes a 2 for 1. So on the traps, 3 party still. allows you to OTK and finish games really early on, especially in more aggressive decks like Heretics. You want to be able to hit them hard before they can get set up and OTK you. So you want to see your party really early in the game. Occasionally you can draw multiples, but Harpies have a way to dump Harpies into the grave really quickly, so it's usually not an issue. As I said earlier, I added Magical Hats back into the deck. I didn't run these at ARG Vegas primarily because Fire Fist was a relevant meta there, and with Bear they can just pop your monster and then they become really dead. Knowing that Fire Fist wouldn't be as played this weekend, I would play more decks like Bujans, Girgias, and Mermels, who generally pop my back row rather than my monster. Magical Hats is going to be much more live and can give me that really early game advantage in order to secure the victory. And to go along with Magical Hats, I also decided to include Skill Prisoner, which has some really cool interactions actually in the deck, especially in game 2 and 3 when they generally slide in things like Valor to stop my Channeler plays. Skill Prisoner can stop that and allow you to continue going off. I actually had a match where a opponent brought out Zen mains to try to crash into my monster and destroy it, and the Skill Prisoner saved it. And you can use it on my turn and your turn. And a lot of people don't realize this card is not just limited to protecting your monster, it also protects your back row. So as long as it's a monster effect that's targeting any of your cards, whether it be a monster or a back row, you can protect it with Skill Prisoner. So things like Gorilla, if they're trying to pop your party or face down party, you can use Skill Prisoner to protect it. And 2 Fiendish Chains against decks like Fire Fist, or when they summon Yamato for the first time. Girgias were going to be a really good deck, so I wanted these in there to stop them too. These came in pretty clutch all weekend. Having the dual effect to stop attacks and effects is just really versatile. And you can bounce it with Zephyros, so. 1 Torrential, stop decks at OTK. I don't always have monsters on board, or sometimes I'll go into 101 or Maestro and have Torrential set, so if they try to push, I can stop them and still have a monster to go off. 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, just stop summons. 1 Warning, 1 Compulse, just more ways to stop summons. I drew Warning pretty often actually, it's kind of scary. Another one of DP and Icarus. I had Icarus at 2, but I decided to drop it down to 1 just because I was running 2 Magical Hats. I didn't want too many cards that were dependent on me having monsters on board. And since I don't main deck MSTs, I still wanted something to be able to get rid of back row, especially against decks like Bujans, who sometimes will put out 2 Kaiser Colosseums, and I don't always have Dancer in hand, so Icarus is another way to get rid of problem cards. And 1 of DP against Yamato or Fire Fist players, or to get rid of Exceed monsters. I actually got rid of Zen mains with this, which is pretty nice. And lastly, one of my other tech choices was Full House. Even though I knew Fire Fist weren't going to be as relevant this weekend, something I really wanted to try, especially against Girgias, who usually do set Girgia armor and set 5 and pass. Full House is just really broken in my deck, especially the fact that I can target my sign. And usually with Sign, I generally don't activate it to add Elegant Egotist, just because getting it to the grave is just so much more powerful to search your Channeler, Dancer, and Queen combo. And so with Full House, I was more comfortable activating it to get Elegant Egotist, and then doing things like end phase Full House when I go first. Or I think I won about 4 or 5 of my games alone from Full House. I played a Madolce player, and they have Ticket and their fill spell up, so this was really easy to resolve against them. I think game 1 and 3 I resolved this in 1, so. For the extra deck, 1 Exciton Knight. You can go into this pretty easy. Essentially you can do this with 2 cards and still keep your hand and nuke them, so they have no answer to this. Plus I run Lamps, so they have the Fiendish Chain or potentially an answer to Exciton Knight. I can still get this to resolve and really reduce the game state while still having a pretty big hand. Additionally, I can destroy Sign with this and search 2, so you can neg them and really plus off of him. 1/101, this card is just so good. Get rid of many problem cards. I took a Zen mains, Draco Sack, there's a lot of things you can steal with this. Additionally, cards that don't allow you to target. Had someone bring out Fortune Tune against me, so I brought out Ice Beast Zerofane to negate, so I can steal it. Which is pretty good. One Zero Feint. I was running 2. I decided to cut one of them for 2 Cowboys, just because when testing I found that a lot of times I needed the second Cowboy to finish them off. I just kept getting them to around 1600 or so, and having 4 monsters on board, so having the second Cowboy was really good. And sometimes they would Valor one of the Cowboys, and I have them in Cowboy range, so the second Cowboy would come in handy too. Back to Zero Feint, most people know, negates all face-up cards your opponent controls. So if they have like Decree or something, their field spells, ticket, things you need to turn off, you can do that for the turn. And against most Dragon players, you can get pretty beefy. I think I've had him up to like 4800 before. And Zero Feint has a pretty good combination with a Photon Pappy Operative. Switch Dracosac token to attack mode and just like well into them for the last bit of damage you need. One Queen Dragon Djinn. I'm not running Monk. Monk is very powerful, but I don't feel there's any good rank 4s that require 3 material for me to justify running Monk again. Shockmaster was that for me. With Shockmaster gone, for me it's not worth putting Monk in. It makes, I think Jeff Jones said, it makes good hands more broken and bad hands worse. So I agree with what he said there. This is just in here in case I have, party plays to go into Dracosac or a big eye to steal their monster. I don't think I went into it this weekend, but I still like it for the option. One Black Ship of Corn. Doesn't destroy, which is important, so when you're playing against Boujins, if they send the hair, you can send Yamato to grave. So I just like having options against Boujins. Additionally, like things like Zen Mains, if you need to get rid of it. Also run one Maestroke, which might seem weird because I'm also running 101, but I still like Maestroke because it has the big defense, and because 101 can steal 101, I don't like putting 101 in defense mode, so I'd rather just summon Maestroke in defense if I have a Torrential or something to go with it. That's just for me. 2 Lightning Chidoris. This card's one of the best cards in my extra deck, to be honest. You can really neg your opponent. If you have a Lance, you can keep it, make sure you can bounce monsters. Set your opponent behind by stacking like Dead Tensus or the fill spells. You can really secure a game. Or if you want to make sure they're not drawing any outs against you, you can stack something so you know for a fact they're not going to draw an out, and you can continue to go off next turn. One Pet Phantasmal Dragon. This is mostly brought out in time or against players who I know don't have an answer to it, or if I have a way to keep it safe. If I have a Lance with it, they try to Dark Hole me or Mirror Force me, I have ways to protect it and secure game. Lastly, for rank 4 is Abyss Dweller against deck like Mermels, Dark World. I just like it for the option. I didn't end up playing any Mermels this weekend, oddly enough, so I didn't really go into it. And for rank 7, Dracosac and Big Eye, they're pretty standard. Generally speaking, when you bring out Draco now, you have to put it in defense mode with your tokens, just because of the fear of 101 and it being so easy to go into. So, for people who don't know, for future reference. And lastly, on to my side deck. I ran 3 Alley Justice of Cycle Readers. I actually didn't use this weekend because I didn't play any Boujins, but the idea being that against Boujin I would side 3 of these in. And the problem I was having with Boujins is that with Light Imprisoning Mirror, I have to wait a turn in order to answer that, have an answer to Yamato in their grave. I'd rather just use this on my turn and Chidori their monster away, or whatever rank 4 I need to give rid of the monster at the time. And so I felt this was a little bit more powerful than Light Imprisoning Mirror for me personally, just because I wanted to deal. I can usually deal with the problem on my turn. 3 Max C. Geargias were a thing, Mermels were a thing. I just wanted a way to draw into my answers on my turn and OTK them. I had a Geargia player that ended up taking the Max V challenge, gave me I think 4 cards, and that was just enough to get rid of his board and finish him off. So, like I said, my third fill spell against decks that run field spells, or if they're siding in MSTs to try to get rid of my hunting ground. Also side 2 MSTs, mostly against decks that also run field spells, or if I need the MSTs to get rid of problem cards like Kaiser Coliseum in case I don't have a hunting ground to go with it. These are generally, these 3 I usually side in if I play a deck where I finish them off too quickly and I don't know what they're playing yet. That does happen, so those are usually the 3 I put in right away. 2 Mind Crush, this was pretty good this weekend. Almost every deck searches right now. Fire Fist, Evil Swarm for their spell card, Gear Gias, Mermails, Bujins, you can really hinder a deck with Mind Crush. And additionally, it has some interesting combinations with Hysteric Sign. I had a player MST this. I didn't know what they had in hand yet, so I chained this. I declared Spellbook of Secrets. It was wrong, but I had a sign in hand, so I was able to trigger that still. So it wasn't that bad. Plus I got to see their hand and know that I could OTK them next turn. 1 Soul Drain, against dragons and mermails. 2 Overworks for Fire Fists and Bujins and other decks that Dolces and Mirror Match as well. Generally speaking, when I side these in, I have to be careful what I bring out on my field and what I feed into if I want to make these live and not blow up my own field. Usually go into like My Stroke or 101 or something. And lastly, 1 Mistake. This is mostly for the Prophecy matchup. It's a pretty nasty play if you can get it start of the turn. Since I pop a lot of their back row anyways, they usually have to use their search cards to regain their advantage, and so Mistake just allows me, if I can draw this late game and still be useful. So yeah, that's my deck profile. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I'll get some new video segments up pretty soon. I'll have another video describing like what I want to do for the summer. If you guys have any comments, any questions about my deck choices and why I chose to do anything, please let me know. I'm not saying this is the best build. This just worked for me for this weekend. I'd like to hear anyone else's opinion, what they're trying. I tried the Brazil build with the triple Reckless upstarts and dualities, and just personally for me, I hate that Reckless engine. It doesn't work for me. Just drawing too many monsters and Harpies is really bad. Generally speaking, if I were to do that, I would have to, when I was testing at least, you would have to wait until you thin out your deck enough that your monsters are no longer going to be drawn, but then at that point, your Recklesses are dead until you deck thin your deck. So that's just my personal opinion from testing it, but remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, guys. I'll catch you later. Nightmare out.